This week on the RV Podcast.
This is our 500th podcast, close to 10 years now that we've been doing this show. And this week we're going to tell you how it all began and where we're headed.
And we have some clarification on those controversial new CDC rules on bringing your dog back from Canada and Mexico. But that clarification doesn't mean it still isn't confusing.
In our social media buzz segment, we have some tips on keeping cool while camping this summer.
All this, plus the RV news of the week and your questions coming up in episode 500 of the RV Podcast.
Hello, everybody. I'm Mike Wendland, and this is my lifelong traveling companion and my bride, Jennifer.
Hello.
500 episodes.
Hello, Mr. Mike. I get to say that 500 times, huh? 500 plus.
Yes, 500 plus episodes. This is really kind of a milestone for us, and we are looking forward to sharing some of the things that have happened, how this all came about, but kind of a celebration. I guess I should confess, we're not sure whether it's 500 or like 540, because remember back when we first started, we did special editions all the time, but we didn't count them as episode numbers. We didn't start episode numbering them until, I don't know, a couple, 3 months into it. Who knew that it would be this many? So we're going to talk about that and a bunch more. Just a quick reminder that there is a video version of this podcast for those of you listening on your favorite podcast app. And you can find us on our YouTube channel at youtube.com/RV Lifestyle. Well, we're going to do some traveling this week. We have some more reviews we're going to do. We're not going to tell you a whole lot about it, but if you follow us on social media, we'll be posting pictures during the week of all the different RVs that we will be reviewing. And we're looking forward to seeing what we can find there. Also, our book came out this week.
And we're pretty excited about that, and we hope you are too.
It was a guide to the Bourbon Trail, and we really are pretty excited to see what you think about it. It's a perfect summer trip. So there's a link in the description below if you want to check out our latest ebook. It's our 22nd book. So we're celebrating 22nd book in our 500th podcast. That's pretty good, huh?
Should I just say to people that on the Bourbon Trail, there's more to do than just drink bourbon?
Yeah, oh, yeah, a whole lot more. And it's really a beautiful area of the country. And believe it or not, other than the bourbon part, it's very kid-friendly. There's so many interesting things to see and great places to camp. And we included a bunch of restaurants and all that, so you can find that. And then we are really excited because when we get done with all these reviews that we got to do this week, we are off to beautiful Shipshewana, Indiana, the heart of Amish country, and our Groove and Gather next week.
Yes, and Bo is particularly excited to be able to bark at horses.
Yes, Bo loves the horses, and it's a really fun trip that we've got planned. This is a gathering. We do a couple, 3 of these a year. This is our summer one. It's been sold out since the second day we listed it available for tickets. So we'll have a lot to show you next week on social media, and I'm sure we'll be talking much more about it on the podcast as well. And if you're on your way to Shipshewana this week, we look forward to seeing you. We hope to arrive a little bit early, I think, so that should be a good trip. All right, some additions to the news that we've been talking about.
The latest from the CDC on their new rules for bringing your dog back from Canada and Mexico.
Now, we've been reporting on this for a couple, 3 weeks now, but starting August 1st, some very detailed and complicated new rules are going to go into effect for anybody who enters the United States with a dog, even if it's your dog, your pet, and you're coming back to the United States to go home. And while these new rules are aimed at keeping so-called rescue dogs being imported into the U.S. from countries that have very high rates of rabies, they also affect tourists and RVers who take their dogs with them on vacations to Canada and Mexico and then come back home.
Now, you heard that right. The rules about bringing animals in from nations that have problems with rabies also apply to family pets owned either by Canadians coming to vacation in the U.S. or U.S. citizens who have traveled to Canada and are returning home.
Now, after almost 2 weeks of trying, we finally got a written response to our questions from the CDC. Now, the CDC are the ones who are instigating these rules, and they refuse to be interviewed on camera. They would only respond to written questions, and they did provide us the following information.
To come back into the U.S., your dog must be at least 6 months old. So if you have a young dog or puppy, even if you left the U.S. with it for your vacation, you cannot return to the U.S. with the pup until it's 6 months old.
All dogs returning to the U.S. must be microchipped. And that's not all.
You must have the dog vaccinated for rabies and have written proof of that, and the microchip number from your vet. Your vet must file out a form and send it to the USDA.
That's the U.S. Department of Agriculture. So that's two government agencies involved in this. And then 2 to 10 days before you return to the United States, you have to take face and body photos of your dog, and then you have to complete a CDC dog import form. You have to note the microchip number on it. You have to identify which port of entry that you're going to use to return to the U.S., and then you have to upload that to the CDC. They should send you a receipt back, and you have to keep a copy of that on your phone, and then you would show that at the border when you come back to the U.S. Man.
So I hope you got all that. And we asked our vet, and after checking, his response was, "Good God, what a mess."
All the
All, yeah,
forms, yeah.
all the forms, all the paperwork seemed overwhelming.
Now, the CDC recommends that you begin getting documentation done 60 to 90 days before you leave the country with your pet.
Now, all of those rules must go into effect August 1st. So if you have not followed them, your dog will not be allowed to return to the U.S. Now, here's the rub. Some of the required forms won't be available until after July 15th, and the rules take effect 2 weeks later.
Now, the CDC is putting as much of this as they can online, and we have a couple of resources that they shared that they urged us to pass along to you, and we will put those in the description below. The first is a checklist for what you have to do and when to see your vet and what forms to get, where to send them. We'll put that up. And then the second one is a documentation that's needed after August 1st to bring your pet into the United States. Trust me, this is nothing but confusing. I have read these now over and over for 3 weeks, and I still have a lot of questions. There's just a tremendous amount of confusion about these new rules, not just by tourists and travelers, but also by veterinarians. So our best advice to you is to call your vet as soon as possible if you're planning to visit either Canada or Mexico this summer. And if you think those rules are confusing, well, wait till you go to those links that we put up and you start to read them. There are a lot of people who are going to be kind of caught with this weird deadline. For example, we're going to Canada on a trip to the Maritimes that leaves July 22nd and returns August 17th. So we're leaving the 22nd. That form isn't even available for my vet until the 15th. And then he's got to fill it out. He's got to figure it all out and send it in. And then I'm gone. So there's going to be a lot of people on that trip and a bunch of others that are caught right in between that. And if you're in Canada and you haven't done any of these forms, or you're in Mexico and you're coming back, this is going to be a big surprise for you on August 1st. So let's hope that there is maybe some pushing back of these dates or some easing of the rules. But for now, that's the official word from the CDC, and we have links on our website for you to check out.
You know, I kind of think it would be kind of nice to have it go into effect like January 1st.
Or a few months in advance. I mean,
Yeah.
for this to be suddenly really announced, they're not even finished with this because they don't have the forms out. But we're dealing with the government. right? So what do you expect? That is going to make sense or be easy? It's crazy, and there's a lot of confusion, and we'll keep on top of this story. All right, when we come back, we are going to talk about something a lot more enjoyable, at least to us, the social media buzz, what everybody's talking about on the internet when we come back. After countless nights on the road, we have finally found the ultimate comfort solution for our home away from home, our RV mattress from rvmattress.com/RV Lifestyle. Now, let me tell you, this is a game changer. Everybody knows that the stock mattresses that come in an RV are not great. And whether you are a weekend warrior or a full-timer, you deserve better sleep. RVmattress.com has 22 plus size options, 5 height options, and 3 firmness options, so you are bound to find something that fits. Jennifer and I got the signature hybrid mattress in Queen with the cooling cover, and we love it. It truly has us sleeping just as good in the RV as our house. In fact, so good, we actually got another RV mattress for our Sticks and Bricks house. Now, swapping out the uncomfortable old stock mattress for our new RV mattress was easy. It shipped from Arizona for free in a box. We brought it into the RV and never looked back. This RV mattress is plush comfort, the best sleep we've ever had in an RV. Every night feels like a luxury retreat, and we highly recommend upgrading your mattress at rvmattress.com. Trust us, you will not regret it. And if you use the promo code RV Lifestyle, you'll get a really nice discount. Again, go to rvmattress.com/RV Lifestyle. Welcome back, everybody. Time now for the social media buzz.
Get your pencil ready and paper and get ready to write down some tips you're going to learn.
Wendy Boyer is our chief cat herder on our social media platforms, and she reports on the hot issues most talked about this past week on social media.
Hi, everybody. Over in the RV Lifestyle Community's electrical space, we had a recent post from Sherry, and she asked, do you keep your motorhome plugged in when you're home in between camping trips? Well, this sparked a big conversation. We had some like Andrew who said he has a lot of solar panels, so he just relies on those to keep his batteries topped off. And then we had others like Douglas, who lives in Florida, who said he installed a 30 amp RV outlet at home, and he does plug it in. In fact, I think most people did plug it in. Some like Robert, they said they keep the AC running at about 78 degrees. It helps control the temperature in the rig, doesn't get too hot, and helps control the humidity as well. Plus, Robert pointed out that the shore power is not very expensive when compared to some high quality batteries. So got to agree with you on that one, Robert. And others said that they keep it plugged in because they don't want to bother having to turn off their refrigerator and empty out all the food back and forth all the time. And we had one couple from California who said they relied on their RV to keep it all ready to go, so they plugged it in so it'd be ready to go in case of an emergency like a wildfire. And it sounds like they keep that going, which makes sense, especially somewhere where you're prone to wildfires. So good tips there. And then also in our community, in the e-bikes space, we had a tip from Andrew that he just wanted to share with everybody. He and his wife have e-bikes. They love going out riding, but one of their frustrations was communicating with each other when they're on them. So he solved this by getting 2 Sena helmets. I hope I'm pronouncing that correctly. But he said they were game changers. They cost a little bit, but they are now able to talk to each other sometimes half a mile in distance. So these helmets, they're what motorcyclists sometimes use. They have a Bluetooth connection. So there's this headset in there where you can talk to somebody else. Some of them have cameras. They come with a lot of different options. But it helps you communicate with whoever you're riding with, and just sounded like a great tip. So thank you for sharing that, Andrew. And then meanwhile, over in our RV Lifestyle Facebook group, of course, lots of good discussions going there. And one of them from Vanessa was very timely. She asked, how do you keep it cool inside your rig on those super hot days? And it sounds like she's camping somewhere where there's no shade, the temperatures are really hot, and her AC, while it's running 24/7, the rig is still like more than 90 degrees inside. So she needed some help, and she got a lot of good suggestions. Many recommended putting something on those windows to bring the temperature down, be it cardboard, tinting, blackout shades. Reflects It, of course, came up a lot. That's that silver bubble wrap type material that people use to keep the cold out in the winter and the heat out in the summer. That came up a lot. And others got very creative. One person suggested getting like a canopy or a tent, some sort of material that you can put over your rig and kind of create your own shade to help bring that temperature down. Others said airflow is key. You need to get a bunch of fans and keep the air moving in a certain direction so it's not stagnant. Others pointed out that air conditioning generally only cools the inside temperatures about 20 degrees less than the outside temperatures. So if you are somewhere really hot, that might be playing into it. Maybe Vanessa needs to get, some said, another air conditioning unit, maybe a portable one. And many suggested she have her current air conditioning unit, somebody come out and look at it, do some maintenance, make sure everything's working great, because maybe that's the issue. But again, there were something like 450 comments on this one, so many suggestions. But with it getting hot out, if you're planning on camping anytime soon, you might want to check this one out for some tips. And that's it for me this week. I'm Wendy Boyer, and I'll see you over in the RV Lifestyle community or Facebook group.
All right, Wendy, thank you very much. Staying cool during the summer. Those are some great tips.
Yeah, and I like the idea of the helmets so you can communicate with each other.
Yeah, on your e-bikes?
Yes, when you're riding your bike out there half a mile distance apart, and
Yeah.
that's pretty handy if you're out there on a busy road or you have a little problem hearing.
I'm pretty excited. I got a new e-bike in the last couple of weeks. I got the new version 3.0 from Electric E-Bikes, and I'm hoping to take it to our gathering in Shipshewana next week.
Well, I think you could use it, so I hope you do take it.
Yeah, it's fun. There's a bike trail there that we can take, and I got a couple of friends who are good e-bike riders there, and we're going to have some fun. All right, when we come back, we're going to talk about, in our RV Conversation of the Week, how all this started. Our 500th episode. Can you believe that? 500 episodes?
No, I can't believe that.
So we're going to talk about how it started and where we're going. So stay with us. Jennifer and I took a trip to Las Vegas and Arizona to look at Windmill Acres, a brand new RV property being offered by Western Land and Ranches. They're selling off 1 and 2 acre parcels starting at only $14,900. Now these are big. An acre is the size of a football field. The properties are on a plateau with big valley views, and the location is amazing, next to Lake Mead National Recreation Area. We had a blast. There are so many places to explore near the property. The Grand Canyon. We took a boat ride on the Colorado River below Hoover Dam. Boulder City was a fun little town. That's right off Route 66. And of course, we had to enjoy some nightlife in Las Vegas. It's a lifetime supply of fun things to do when you own a camp at Windmill Acres. The properties are now available. This is 100% ownership, so there's no reservations needed when you want to hang out, time limits or crowded parks that you have to go through. You can share your property, you can rent it, it's whatever you want to do. For more information, visit ArizonaRanchSales.com or call 822-232-LAND. All right, welcome back. Time now for our RV Conversation of the Week. And it was sometime back in 2013, 9.58 years ago to be precise, that we released episode 1 of this podcast.
And we've been doing the RV lifestyle since March of 2012.
And that's when we started with a blog. And then we followed that with quickly by a YouTube channel, and then the podcast, and then we ended up with books and newsletters and social media, all sorts of other things. But at the time we started with this podcast, there was one other couple doing this, John and Kathy Huggins, who I think were the very first with an RV-themed podcast. Podcasts were very new back then, and they called it Living the RV Dream, and they did a wonderful job. They started that out as a radio show for a local station in Florida. And before Kathy's health started to fail and they ended up stopping the podcast, they did something over 400 episodes. So they were the pioneers in it. I remember they were one of our first interviews when we started, and John really helped me out with a lot of the equipment, and it was really fun. And I remember when we started, you were not a believer.
Well, you're the radio guy. You used to work in radio, and I was just like, yeah, whatever.
But everybody that I knew said, "Oh, you're going to spread yourself too thin. Nobody knows what a podcast is," and I just thought it was really exciting, all the technology, and frankly, it was kind of a fun thing to do. If I remember, I did a tech one and a couple of other podcasts until this one really started with traction. But when we started, there were very few even YouTubers out there or so-called RV
Oh, it's
influencers.
absolutely incredible how things have changed.
The only other couple that I knew of when we started was Jason and Nikki Wynn from Gone with the Winds, but they ended up selling their RVs and moved on to sailboats, and they're still doing videos on their sailboats. There were probably a few others.
Yeah, but nothing like now. And I think the last time we tried to get a feel for how many couples are out there doing what we do, it was like 350, and I bet it's more than that.
I bet it is more than that too. And some, just do it occasionally, and then there's others trying to make a go of it. And the fact of the matter is, most end up quitting after a year, 2 years, sometimes not even that, because as much fun as all this is, it can also be really challenging, you know?
Yeah, so we've been able to stick this out for 500 podcasts. That's pretty incredible. We're
Yeah,
celebrating. We should have had some noisemakers,
we should have.
balloons,
Yeah,
things.
500 podcast episodes is worth celebrating. As I said, this is probably episode 525, 545, because we did all those early edition podcasts. Every time there was an RV show, we'd do a special one. We did a bunch of, some weeks we did 2 or 3 podcasts a week when we first were starting off. And then we started off, it was called road trekking. Remember?
Oh, how could I forget that?
And we had all these intros, and it was like a little radio. I think I still have some of my jingles on here. I should play one. I'm going to play one. Here we go.
Okay.
This is our
That one's
intro
ready?
to first one we did. Ready? Listen up.
Welcome, fellow travelers. It's time for another episode of the RV Podcast.
Answering your questions, sharing tips, suggesting great trips and off the beaten path adventures, and always staying on top of the RV lifestyle news you need to know about with great interviews and inside industry information.
Here's your hosts, award-winning journalists Mike and Jennifer Wendland.
It was a lot of fun. So it's our 500th episode, at least that. And we have a post up on our blog that we'll link to in the show notes about how this all started. But here are the highlights of it.
Well, it started as a hobby back in 2012 when Mike left a long career in journalism. Now, this podcast and our many different platforms have become what we really believe is a calling. We feel this is exactly what we were meant to do. It started when we bought a used Road Trek Class B camper van type motorhome in early 2012.
It
And
was
when
a 2006. And remember,
yeah.
remember when we bought that, it was used. We thought we could just go take a look at it. Oh no. The dealership called us and said that they had it coming in and they were taking a list. And I said, a list? And we were the first of 6 on the list. But we had how much did we have to give them?
$1,000
We had to give them $1,000 just to be on the list.
to be number one on the list.
And they said they would refund it if we didn't want it. So we were number one. We went and we liked it and we bought it. But that was our first introduction to the RV industry and the demand for RVs back in 2012. $1,000 just to get to go look at it as a deposit.
And we fell in love with it. It was really, we fell in love with it. I said to you, I will do this for 1 year.
1 year. That was you said. Yep. Yep.
And here we are.
Here we are. Yeah, I'm glad you can't count. But we started a blog, and I'm a reporter. I'm a writer, and that's what I do. And Jen was a producer. We traveled all over the country, all over the world before that, doing videos and stuff, and doing a lot of freelance stuff. But I just wanted to tell the stories about the things we were seeing in North America and how we were enjoying RV. And so we started a blog, and then some of our friends in the media picked it up, and it just took off. It just took off. It was so much fun.
It really was fun because we would just travel, and wherever we were, I'd be reading pamphlets and brochures and whatever I could find and looking for something interesting, like the history of Jell-O. I
Yeah.
mean, all kinds of goofy things.
Yeah, I remember that. That was a trip that we did along the Lake Erie shoreline, and we just driving down. Our style is serendipity, which means happy accident, stuff we find along the way. And I remember we had a couple that wanted to join us on this tour because we were, hey, we're here, we're doing this. And they said, well, we're going to meet you at your campground and we'll follow you along. And we said, well, I don't know what we're going to be doing, but okay, well, we just were driving to the next one and we saw a sign that said Jello Museum up in upstate New York, I think it was.
It
Yeah.
was.
And so we went and no, it was Lake Ontario. It was Lake Ontario shoreline. And we went and it was fascinating. And we did a little story on that. And then this couple said, you didn't show up where you said you'd be. And that was where we learned never offer to travel in a group with other people because we used to share every place we were when we were there. And a couple of things happened. One, people knocked on your door at like 11 and said, hi. And that, I mean, we love meeting people, but come on. And then others would get frustrated if they were going to follow us because we were just driving down the road and Jennifer says, look, there's this. And we turn the car and we go. And so we stopped telling people where we were until we were already there or were leaving. And it was fun. And for those early years, we did the podcast from the road, as we do still now. But I was still working. I was doing weekly technology reports for NBC News.
Hmm. So that kept you out of trouble?
Yeah. And we just had a great time. We just traveled all over the place and enjoyed it. And, what I'd been to so many places as a journalist that and I remember I would be someplace and I'd only be there for 15 minutes. We called it parachute journalism. You'd go in and you'd use a skyline or a mountain range as a backdrop for a stand-up. And Mike Wendland, whoever I am, bye, and get on the plane and you'd go someplace else. So we had missed so much. And I wanted to show Jennifer some of those places. And so that's how we thought it was going to be our retirement.
Well, it's been a fun retirement. We've seen so much, so many places in this country that I wanted to see. I love to travel. I had a great big long bucket list of places and parks and things I wanted to see. So I've been very fortunate. I've been able to see most of them.
We've traveled, we figure, about 300,000 miles or a little longer maybe over those 12 plus years. And typically we mark out a route. We identify a few spots that we want to be sure to visit, and then off we go. And we stop whenever we want, whenever Jennifer finds something that's interesting. I remember an old editor of mine back in my newspaper days once told me, in fact, his first assignment to me, he says, your first byline, he said, I want you to squat on the corner. And he gave me the name of the corner. This is back in Bay City, Michigan. And he said, go find the first person to stand in the corner and find their story. I said, find their story. And he said, every person has a story to tell. That was Al Peliquin, still the best editor I ever had. And he's right. It's not every person that has a story. It's also every place,
Yes. So we wanted to go to those places and share the stories that we discovered and found with you.
Yep. And we would do the same thing. We'd just wander around, chat up the people we meet, take a bunch of photos and videos, and almost every time we'd return with more stories than we can do. So, where is this headed?
And what's next for us? Well, what's around the next bend in the road? That's where we're headed. And we seldom plan more than 2 or 3 months out. We're very much serendipity travelers.
Yeah. Like I said, a serendipity means a happy accident or a pleasant surprise and something fun and useful and enjoyable that you discover and by happenstance. And I think that's a perfect description for what we find every day in all this wandering in an RV. So we plan to keep on doing this.
Yep. Until we don't want to do it, or declining health or circumstances make it clear to us that it's time to slow down or come off the road. And we can honestly say we enjoy it every bit as much now as we did when we first began. Maybe we appreciate it more. And we have no plans to quit anytime soon and look forward to each trip like newbies. So that's our story. and it's still unfolding.
And we'll answer a couple more since this is kind of where we've been, where we're going. We've got a lot of other. You always send us a bunch of questions. We try to keep them RV travel related, but we'll answer some personal questions that have come in as well. We'll do that in the questions of the week segment that's coming up in a little bit. But next up, after this break, the RV news of the week. Stay with us. Jennifer and I bought some land near Nashville, Tennessee a while back. We got tired of crowded, expensive campgrounds and worrying about reservations. Tennessee is a gorgeous state with friendly people, and it has been such a pleasure. The same developer has some new property near us close to the Natchez Trace and Buffalo River called The Reserve at High Forest. Big properties, 5 to 41 acres. You can build a house, a cabin, or RV year-round. Prices start at only $89,900. Your property, your way, 100% ownership. The scenery in this part of Tennessee is breathtaking, and the property is gorgeous. Garden, landscape, bring your pets, build what you want. There's high-speed fiber optic internet, and it is so private. A great place to make your home base, ready whenever you want it. 5 to 41 acre properties from $89,900. There's even great financing. Check out the site and a video tour at rvlands.net. That's rvlands.net. Time now for the RV news of the week.
Well, the cicadas are here. Have you met any yet? So, honestly, have you run into any yet while you've been camping? We haven't so far.
No, not yet.
But we're thinking this week we'll be camping in southeast Michigan, and the following week we'll be in northern Indiana, and I'm kind of hoping we do.
You're hoping to see some bugs.
Yeah,
Okay.
why not?
Yeah, this is going to be the year of the cicada apocalypse. As many as 1.5 million cicadas per acre emerging from underground in places in the southeast and the Midwest. And the reason is there's two different broods appearing at the same time. And this only happens, very rarely. All the bug experts in the world are really excited. I don't know when the last time this thing happened.
I don't know, if whatever eats cicadas got to be pretty happy too.
Yeah, I think it's over 2 centuries, I think. Really.
So you better get out there and enjoy these little critters.
Well, 17 states in the southeast and Midwest have been reporting these cicada sightings. Scientists say the broods emerge once the soil 8 inches underground reaches 64 degrees. So,
And now, these winged bugs spend most of their lives underground, and they come up to mate, lay eggs, and then they die. And while they don't bite, they do make a lot of noise, and especially at dawn and dusk. And when they have died off, it can be, well, disgusting.
you need shovels, let's put it that way. So a while ago, a couple months ago, we interviewed a cicada expert on the podcast, and he gave us lots of interesting facts, and we'll put a link to that in the show notes. And you can find the show notes at rvlifestyle.com/podcast. All right. More RV recalls announced last week by the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration. They list these recalls pretty much monthly. 24 Tiffin 24 through 25 byway motorhomes are being recalled because the secondary emergency exit in the bedroom wasn't installed. They're going to send out notification letters to owners on July 12th. And Forest River is recalling 2,204 of their 2020 to 2023 Coachman Independence Trail, the Viking, and Clipper travel trailers. And their issue, get this, the freshwater tank may detach from the vehicle when it's full or overfilled. Can you imagine that? They're going to send out notification letters to owners on June 24th.
Forest River is also recalling 318 of the 2024 Solera and 2024-25 Forester and Sunseeker motorhomes. And their issue is the LP gas line may not be properly secured, which can cause the line to become damaged and leak. Yikes. Owner notification letters will be mailed out June 26th.
An aluminum trailer company is recalling 398 of its 21 through 24 toy hauler fifth wheel trailers. The LED backlight circuit board in the cooktop range may fail, and that could cause that board to overheat. Owners will get their letters mailed out June 14th. And finally, primetime specialty vehicles, as we're calling a handful of its 23, 24 Ford Transit vehicles that are equipped with a certain Go ES space saver fold-away seats. And in this case, the recliner mechanism may not engage, putting it out of compliance with seatbelt regulations.
Well, it sounds to me like most of these things that are wrong, they're easy fixes.
Yeah, they are easy fixes.
It's no big deal. They'll be able to fix them easily, and they're up on this. They know what's going on. You're going to get your letter.
Except for that one that involved 2,000 plus units. Most of them are just a handful of units. And, it's like cars. They do the same list every month for cars. It's just that it doesn't look good when you see it all reported at once like that. But then again, if you have one of these units, you want to know about those recalls.
That's right.
All right, one last story.
Okay. If you're planning an early summer trip to Glacier National Park, you may need to wait to drive the infamous Going to the Sun Road because no date has been set yet for its opening. And the reason is snow, lots and lots of snow and late season avalanches. Now that sounds scary. Road crews say there's been 74 avalanches, many late in the season, including 34 that happened after the road was cleared, meaning snow trucks then had to do the work to clear the road all over again. And last weekend it was still snowing up there. So remember, if Glacier National Park is on your bucket list, reservations are now needed to enter during the summer season. And
we'll put a link.
Make it so help people understand what they have to do.
And you can just go to the show notes for this episode, rvlifestyle.com/podcasts. We love Glacier National Park. And usually that road opens like the first week of July. But this week they're saying, this year they're saying maybe a little later. But I remember we were told that it snows at the top of the mountain there at Glacier every month of the year. So check out the links in the podcast on this. It's always fun to watch these things when they clear off those roads. All right, that's podcast news of the week. When we come back, we're going to do kind of an extended question and answer time that combines your personal questions with our Mike and Jen story time. And all that's coming up right after this.
When we're asked what's the most important modification we made to our RV, it's an easy answer. Battle-Born batteries. Battle-Born batteries are quality, safe, reliable lithium batteries that allow us to stay out there off the grid longer. Lithium batteries charge faster, they charge fuller, they're longer lasting, they're maintenance free, and Battle-Born batteries are protected by a 10-year guarantee. Now, in our case, they just dropped into the existing AGM batteries that we have, and they'll probably be the same on your rig too. Battle-Born battery experts can get those in your rig just like they did with ours. They can also match you up with the right cabling, the inverter, the charger, the solar controller, everything. Jennifer and I swear by our Battle-Born batteries. They allow us to boondock off the grid. Check them out. Go to rvlifestyle.com/lithium. rvlifestyle.com/lithium.
Welcome back. Time now for the RV questions of the week. And as always, we welcome your questions or your comments, anything you hear today. Our personal email is mikeandjen@rvlifestyle.com.
Okay, in honor of our number 500 podcast episode, we thought we'd combine our story time of the week feature with some extra questions that are more personal in nature.
All right. And a lot of you have loved these story times that we're doing, and we will try and keep doing those at the end of every podcast. But since we've talked so much about ourselves in this episode, we didn't want to just add more stories. So we'll maybe do a few more of these questions. What's our first one?
Our first one is, do you ever get tired of all the travel? It's from Alicia.
And the answer is?
Yes. There are times we get tired of all the traveling, but those times don't last long.
How about like as soon as the next day comes and you look at the RV sitting in its parking spot in our yard, you're ready to go again.
I think what really happens is I bring everything in, I wash the sheets, get everything ready, take them back out, and then when I'm making the bed again and looking, putting away the towels and everything, I think, now where can we go?
But we do get tired.
Oh, yeah, come home, recharge,
Yeah.
and then take off again.
And we've kind of learned to recognize the signs of travel fatigue and take time to rest. And sometimes we have found that means maybe canceling a couple of quick trips we planned and staying in one place longer.
And of course, we have to recharge with your family, refuel our emotional tank, so to speak. And that's what we do to recharge.
Yeah. But it's never long before the travel bug starts to bite again. Here's a question. You two seem to really like each other and genuinely get along, but you have to get on each other's nerves from time to time being cooped up in an RV so much. How do you handle that? And that was asked by Missy.
Well, I don't think we could do this if we really weren't best friends. But I think it mainly comes down to mutual respect, patience, and understanding that the other person isn't perfect. And neither am I. You're not perfect. I'm not perfect. And when traveling together, it's also important not to lose sight of your individuality. There are still things you like to do that your partner doesn't like to do, and vice versa.
Like working out every day at the gym?
Yes, that's very important to me. I would love you to do that with me every day, to work out at the gym. And okay, this is...
So I'd rather take an e-bike ride or maybe a nap in a hammock or a little hike by a river. But I probably should do what Jennifer does because I would look a lot more svelte like she does.
And what's something with me too is what I eat. I'm fussier about, I want different food than what you want.
Probably that's the main conflict that we have because it is hard to eat well on the road without doing a lot of preparation. It really is. I mean, everybody says, oh, it's so easy. It's not easy because most of the food that you eat on the road at restaurants is junk. It's just not good food. It's loaded in salt and sugar and butter, and you got food poisoning at one Mexican joint I took you into in Missouri someplace.
I think you can eat tin cans and it doesn't bother you
like
any,
a goat.
but I'm more the little sensitive one.
Yeah. But it's important, not to give up the things that you like and be open to enjoying the things on your own or with other friends or take turns enjoying each other's hobbies,
Mm-hmm. And I think the real reason that we get along so well is our shared faith. We believe in a loving, patient, and forgiving God, and we try to emulate that in our relationships.
All right. Another question. This is from Ken. Is RV lifestyle a hobby or a business? And the answer is it's
both.
Both, yeah. There's no way we could have kept the RV lifestyle up this long and gone as many places as we've gone and for as long as we were out there on the road if we didn't love doing it. So as I said earlier, we started this, we thought it was going to be our retirement, mainly as a hobby, and it grew into a money-making business for us. We do make income from writing books, from running ads and affiliates on our videos, and our podcast. And of course, this is at no extra cost to any of our followers. So yeah, it's become a business. We have some people that we pay on our staff that helps, and we're always, trying to, edit videos, write books, do blog posts, write newsletters, manage social media. That takes a whole team of people that we have, and that costs money. We have in all about 1 million followers when you add them all up from social media and our blog and our podcasts and our YouTube videos.
So it's a fantastic way to fund our travels while sharing all of our lessons and experiences along the way. It's a win-win for us as we get to do what we love even more because of the extra income.
All right. One last personal question here.
Do you get a lot of free things? This from Randy.
Sometimes. Randy, I've often thought I would do either a blog post or just share it on the podcast. How many emails we get every day offering us, they call them collaborations, where the way companies market stuff now is through people like Jen and me and those 350 other RV influencers out there. They're offering all sorts of stuff. I mean, and some of it isn't even RV related. I was offered perfume. I should have saved it. They wrote this thing and said, as we love the content that you produce, and we know right up your alley is your audience would love to learn about our perfumes. What? Well, maybe it would help after one of those long hikes someplace and boondocking without a shower. But not a day goes by that somebody isn't offering to send us their products, and they all expect a review. And the vast majority of the time we turn that down. If we do accept the product, it's usually because it's something new that we're not familiar with, that we've had people ask us about, or that we think would enhance our RV lifestyle so that we can tell you about it. And we always make sure we tell you that somebody sent it to us or provided it to us. We make it clear and that when we try it out, we'll tell you also the good and the bad and what we really think of it. When we're done with it, we usually give it away and at one of our RV gatherings, like the one we're going to have next week. We've got a whole box of stuff I'm packing up that we will, give to those who are attending our gatherings. But most of the products that you see us review or use are things that we either purchase ourselves or that we think, have some news merit in terms of a review for you. We bought our own fifth wheel. Nobody gave us that. We bought our own property in Tennessee and in Michigan. And when we recommend a product or service, it's because we use it ourselves, or it comes highly recommended by people, experienced RVers in our audience. So, all right, 500 episodes under our collective belts.
You think we got 500 more in us?
No, maybe a couple hundred. We'll see. That's the thing. You realize after doing all of this, and as you get older, which, unfortunately is happening to us, you realize there will come a time when you'll have to come off the road. But so far, it's all been good. And we have a lot of plans to keep coming. So look for more episodes.
To buy more bandages, I guess, huh?
More bandages as you've all. Yeah. If you take away my e-bike from me, I'm going to have a fit though, because that's still a lot of fun. It's all a lot of fun, really. And we travel with our dog, Bo. I think we told everybody that, and the regulars all know that. All right. Thank you guys for listening to our stories and hopefully being interested. Please send us your comments, your questions. Mike and Jen at rvlifestyle.com.
Happy trails.